Hello, my name's Rachel and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you all about completing my no-buy year. I share videos all about my no-spend year and minimalism and decluttering. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So as you may well know, I have been tracking every single receipt since the beginning of January to see what it is I'm spending and how much I'm spending. I also set myself a set of challenges to do a no spend year, and I will link up above my rules that I set for myself. So to recap roughly, my rules that I had set for this year were to only buy replacement makeup, to not buy books or games or things like that, not buy any non-essential items. And I know that when I've gone through each month, I have shared months where I've had ups and I've done really well, and months where I've had downs where I've had to spend more than I would have liked in certain areas. I allowed myself treats where I was allowed to pay for food out and drinks out because I prioritised that as being important for me and for my well-being, to be able to socialise. So those are key things that I was allowed to do. I do need to start by recapping December and how I've got on with December's budget. If you're not already aware, I count my financial month from the 25th to the 24th of each month because that's when I get paid, so I find it much easier to count my bills from that date, and most of my bills come out by the 2nd of the month, so then anything left over is just for food or petrol or goes into savings. So as you're aware, I set myself a spend amount, I set myself a food amount, and I have a petrol amount that I'm keeping track of. Petrol wise, I was much better because I was just doing my core journeys and I wasn't really doing anything extra. So for petrol, I've only spent £98, so that's fine, I'm happy with that. I'm assuming I've missed I've missed a payment in there somewhere, but I did do a fill up, I think, at the end of the previous month, so I think that kind of carried over some of the petrol. For food, as you know, I've had a bit of a up and down with food due to having to follow a gluten-free diet, but this month has been an okay month. I think in reality I'm now going to set myself a target of around 200 a month for food, rather than trying to push myself to get to 160 because I just don't think that's achievable. And this month I did spend £205. That's definitely better than some months where I spent 230 on average, and there's some months where I spent 180. So I think a 200 budget is realistic and achievable for what I'm trying to do. I obviously will continue my meal planning and see if I can cut that down, allow myself 200. That gives me wiggle room for things and to make sure that I'm eating healthily as much as I can. Spend wise this month, I think I've done okay. The only thing that's made me go further into my spend is the fact that I've bought tickets for events for next year. So I bought 2 different golf tickets. Yeah, I've bought 2 different golf tickets, one to see Wentworth and one to the Belfry. So I've got tickets that I'm going to for events. So I've added that into my price. So overall spend this month has been £209. And if I was to take off the ticket, that would be £129. So actually I've not spent an awful lot on other things, so I'm not too worried about that one. I think mostly I spent my money on socialising this month, so it was drinks for my Christmas party, as I was able to get that in before things started shutting down. And I also had my eyelashes done this month, so that makes it a slightly pricier month anyway. So yeah, I think generally I've just spent money on a couple of nights out and things like that. Obviously moving forward, seeing as we've got another lockdown imminent, I think that it's probably safe to say that January will be a quiet month. So I'm hoping that I can have a really strict budget next month, and I'll talk about my goals for next year in another video, so I'll share that with you shortly. So now let's have a look at how I've done overall for the last 6 months, and then I'll compare it to the previous 6 months when I did an update, and then I will share how much I spent overall. As you know, I've got some different categories which I've listed there. I've put the amount that I spent in the first half of the year, and the second half of the year, and then the total here. So let's have a look. Food and drink is the first category. The first half of the year I spent 168, and for the second half that was a lot more, it was 482. I think I was clearly making up for the fact that we had a lot of lockdown in the first half of the year, and yeah, I guess I had my birthday and various trips and things, so it just meant that my spend was more. So in total for food and drink in the whole year, I spent 651. For gifts in the first half of the year, I spent 162, and in the second half I spent 80. I do know that I have a heavier lot of birthdays in the beginning of the year, so that was kind of to be expected. And then overall I spent £242 on gifts for the whole year. That doesn't include Christmas, that just includes birthdays really. So that is definitely an area that I would like to focus on. I'm quite happy to spend money on food and drink, but I think gifts is definitely too much. I think I need to set a clear budget per person and maybe think about who it is that I'm gifting. Parking wise, the first half I spent £5.70 and this time I spent £35. So I definitely spent more on parking and travel. I put travel in with that. So in overall I spent £41 on parking and travel. The next category is school. So the first half I only spent about £3. This time I spent about 24. So I spent £28 in total. The next category is toiletries and beauty. So I'm going to put my eyelash treatment in there. So the first half I only spent at £10. I think that's probably not 100% accurate because I did start having treatments in the summer, so I think I need to look at that. But this second half I spent £64.99, so in overall I spent £75 on toiletries and beauty. The next category was electronics, so I spent £35. That was in the first half, and I didn't spend anything in the second half because I kind of evened out my costs for my Hoover switch, so from buying and selling other items, so it evened out. So I kind of didn't include that. Treat wise, I spent £27 in the first half and then I didn't spend anything in the second. I think that's probably because I've not put things as the right category, so I'm guessing some of the food and drink element were probably treat, like ice cream trips or like brownie boxes and stuff like that. So I have a feeling that I've just categorised it slightly differently for the second half. And the next category is house and garden, which I've got £34.40 that I spent in the second half, and I only spent £7 in the first half. So it's not a category I'm worried about. I spent 41 in total, but clearly I've bought some bits for the house that perhaps I didn't need. That's reality. For my car, I spent £29 in the first half. That was replacing the fuel cap. I've not spent anything in the second half, so that's okay. So in total it was only £29. The next category is makeup. So I spent £35.50 in the first half and I spent £40 in the second half, so that's about right. So that was just basically paying for concealer and for foundation. So in overall I spent £75 on makeup, which actually is a really reasonable number. It's the products that I use and I didn't buy anything extra. That means I spent £8 for that one. Clothing, this is where I spent a lot more than the first half of the year. So the first half I spent £54 on clothing, and that was mostly bits for my son and I think probably one item for myself. This second half I've actually needed to buy some more clothes for both of us, so it's been 293. Although I find it really hard to know what clothing items I've bought. It's probably only a couple of items. I don't know, it's really bizarre. I definitely bought shoes and PE kit and stuff like that for Noah, so it's definitely that. But in total I spent £347 in clothing for the whole year. The next category is postage, so this is just any items that I sold. So the first half of the year I spent £5.95, this time I spent £2.95. I haven't really done much eBay sales or anything like that, so I've only spent £8.90 in postage. And the last one is activities. So this half I spent £149 on activities and I didn't spend anything on the first half, so I guess again that might have been because I didn't categorise things as activities, or I've just been consciously trying to do a few more things out with my son. So in total, for my no spend year, it still feels like a lot of money that I've spent, and this is going to feed into my goals for next year. So my total spend for the whole of the year was £1,752.91. That does feel like a lot. I think the experience, because it's the first time I've done a no-buy year, this has definitely given me a lot of experience as to where I need to focus on, what things I do need to prioritise, and what things that I am happy with the amount that I've spent. I'm definitely going to be carrying on with a no-spend year next year, but I think I'll be really specific with my do's and don'ts for that, so hopefully I'll be able to share that video with you shortly. I would love to know if you have had a go at a no spend month or a no spend year like me. Let me know if you've got one of these Go Girl budget planners as well, because I find them really helpful. It's definitely given me a huge insight into what it is I'm doing. I'm not too worried about my bills as such because I already track those on a on a spreadsheet. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it's helped me to kind of prioritise things and see what's going on. And I did have some targets that I set myself here. So one was to clear all of my debts. I'm pretty much there. I will be clear as of March for my car, and I think it's May or June for my sofa, which is only interest free. But yeah, that was something that was a really important goal for me, to get rid of my overdraft and things like that. The other one was to start a LISA savings account and to save monthly. I haven't necessarily been able to save monthly because I've been clearing debt, but I did manage to save a good amount up to April into my savings account, and then I'm now saving again up until April to get in my last 4,000. But my LISA is really good because I love the fact that you get the bonus of 25%. So it just means that my savings does go up quicker than I realise, which is quite nice. Another target that I set was to save £10 a month for Noah, which I haven't been able to do. And I think that is definitely going to be a goal that's going to move on to next year, but it needs to happen. It needs to be a regular thing. My fourth goal that I'd set myself was to reduce food bills. I think I've not always done that every month, but I've definitely looked at how to manage my food budget a lot more, and it's definitely keeping me on top of things because I track my inventory now and I think about what it is I'm spending, and I try and just go to the shop once a week so that I'm in track of it. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. This year I set up a help to save account. If you're not sure what that is, it was a savings initiative set up by the government, which means that you can put a maximum of £50 a month in, and then you will get a 50% bonus after 2 years and after 4 years for the maximum amount that you've had in your account as a balance. So far I've done a whole year, so I've saved £600, which means I'll get a £300 bonus so far next December/January. So I've got to do it for another year before I will get that money. But it is encouraging me to keep that going. So essentially that is kind of like doing my savings for Noah. So I could have it put straight into an account for Noah for when he's older anyway, so technically I could have achieved that goal. So we'll say that. And like I said, I'm still finishing off the LISA savings goal for this financial year because I go up to April for that one. And I did open a stocks and shares ISA this year. I was really impressed actually. I've opened one with Vanguard and I started off with £500 just as an experiment, and I had a moderate risk one, so I think it was a lifetime kind of 60% one, and I still managed to get about 6 or 7% up until recently, and I withdraw 400 of it to pay for Christmas so that I wasn't in debt. So I still got 100 in there, so I'm going to start building that one up again because actually that is a good longer term investment, and that's something I want to kind of focus on, is some longer term financial goals as well as short term. I've got lots of things that I would like to achieve next year, and I'm just going to have to be really specific with where my money is going so that I am still reaching some or all of those goals. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been helpful for understanding about how my no spend year has gone. I'm really pleased with how little I have spent. I think realistically in a normal year I would have had no savings, I wouldn't have paid any debt, so actually I would have spent a lot more, I guess probably about 10 grand on things that I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was. So I'm really amazed that I've got like quite an itemized log of kind of where I'm spending my money, and it's really helped me. So yeah, I will share with you soon what my new goals are going to be. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I shall see you soon. Take care, bye.